I want the wrong sides facing each other. So I've got my yarn tails here to the inside. I want to align my sides, and I want to make sure that I only have one long yarn tail on this side. That way I can use this other yarn tail for sewing another square together. Now this is where your stitch markers could come in handy. You can place some stitch markers in here to hold the fabric in place in a couple of locations. And if you don't feel comfortable just hanging on to everything. So that's another handy use for your stitch markers. Okay, now I'm going to whip stitch these together. So I'm just going to I'm here at the back, I'm going to take my yarn needle, my tapestry needle, through just the edge of both pieces of fabric and pull the yarn through. And sometimes it catches because it gets a little tangled there on the end. We're dealing with some long strands here. Okay, now I came out on that side, but I'm going to put the needle back through on the opposite side, and I'm going to pull through again. So this is how I'm whip stitching the sides together. I'm always coming to the side closest to me and going out the other side to whip stitch the edge together. The closer you keep your whip stitches, so the closer I have my yarn needle to where that yarn is coming out, see how those are all just laying nicely side by side, the neater your seam is going to be along the edge. Okay, you can space them a little further out than this and it's not a big deal. I will say the closer they are together, the longer yarn tail you need. So if you find your yarn tail is a little shy of enough to do what you need to do, you could undo it, because you can pull this back out. And you could space your whip stitches a little further. Or you just get more yarn, attach it on there, and keep going. You'll just have more yarn tails to weave in later. Okay, getting closer. I still have a lot of yarn here, so that's good. My excessive amount of a yarn tail is perfectly fine, because I'll show you what we'll do with all that extra once we're done. It doesn't harm anything. And here I am at the corner. You want to make sure you go through both corners pretty well. Now when I'm at the corner, the last thing I do, and you don't have to, but I run under that last loop and then pull it tight. It's kind of not a super secure knot, but it is a little bit of a knot. Then I'm going to take my yarn tail and I'm going to run it up here through a couple of stitches. So under some loops, set it down so it's easier to see. I'm going to run it through some loops, and then I'm going to run it like I did before under a few of these V stitches. And I have this huge length of yarn left. I'm not too worried about it. It's better than having extra yarn tails, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to leave it tucked here in the side. I'm not going to cut it. It is now part of my stuffing. Okay, doesn't hurt a thing, that being in there, just like those yarn tails. And this one doesn't hurt anything. It's going to become part of my stuffing. Time for our next square. So we're going to bring in another square. Again, we're going to be strategic in how we place these. We want wrong sides together, but we want the super long yarn tail to not be on a side we're going to seam. That way we can use it to seam the next side. So I am safe in doing this. With this yarn tail tucked in out of the way, I'm going to match up the side I'm going to sew. And we're going to sew.
Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and leave us a comment.